Greetings, folks. One of the strangest things about the technological age in which we live is the number of contradictions we are forced to navigate on a daily basis. Take, for example, the fact that we have never before in human history had the ability to communicate as widely and quickly across the world as we do today, but we have also never had this many unelected authority figures deciding for us what we can and can't say to one another. The problem with putting limitations on human expression for the purpose of protecting people from offense or harm, or, as is commonly said, to create safe and inclusive communities, is that when you do that, you're not actually protecting anyone. What you are doing, in effect, is to limit the human capacity to cooperate and learn from one another. Take me, for example. I have a physical disability. I spend my life in a wheelchair, and I have brain damage which causes my body to move in awkward and unnatural ways. Now, because at this point people have had it beaten into them that you can never say anything to someone with a disability that may offend them, in my experience, one of three unhelpful scenarios usually plays out when I meet someone new. Firstly, they may be so uncomfortable or unsure of what they can and can't say to me that they decide to just avoid me altogether and thereby avoid any discomfort. Secondly, they assume that because I have a visibly obvious disability, that I must also be in some way mentally deficient and therefore approach me as one would a child instead of a heavily tattooed man in my 30s. And thirdly, there's a group of people who believe that the best course of action is to try to pretend that my disability does not exist at all, and that I'm exactly the same as any other physically normal person. This is, of course, the most ridiculous of the three, because pretending that I don't have a physical disability when I very obviously do causes some very real practical problems in the physical world. On a broader level, the problem with trying to police expression or to limit what people can and can't say is that when you do this, say you're an activist type who believes that by limiting the expression of ideas or opinions that you disagree with, you are somehow building a better world. What the activists never seem to realize is that the pendulum of human history always swings back and forth. And what this means is that whatever tactics you use against your ideological opponents, those same tactics will eventually be used against you when the tide of power turns to the other end. Now, the activists of today don't seem to believe that this will ever happen because they consider themselves to be on the right side of history, and they think that whatever course of action they take, as long as it kind of prevents their opponents from getting what they want, then it's fine. But, as I say, whatever measure someone uses against another person will eventually be used against them. That is an unavoidable fact of human nature. So I prefer that we should live in a society where all speech is permissible, even hateful, cruel, or bigoted speech. I would rather be able to hear what a bigot thinks and therefore know that I should avoid them, than have them silenced and thereby have their views go underground and fester in secret. This impulse that a lot of people have to limit the expression of others has within it the implication that the general public is too stupid to decide for itself what we can and can't tolerate hearing. And I've also heard the argument that in terms of social media platforms censor speech in an effort to protect younger users, aka children. But I would argue that it is not the responsibility of some faceless multinational corporation to protect children. That responsibility lies with their parents. So, in summary, I think that if we are to have any hope of living in a decent world, and as idealized and kind of naive as this might be, if we are to have any hope of building a world that all of us actually like living in, then we should be able to say what we think or what we believe without limitation. For now, farewell.